See, here's the thing, homie. The black man done become so obsessed with a woman's ass. Everybody playing on him with a fat ass. The boy and the girl. Everybody playing because the black boy done become so ass obsessed. I'm not an ass nigga.
Yeah, man, like the boy and the girl, because they go into great lengths to obfuscate certain things about identification when it comes to, the transgender agenda, to the point where you have certain males that know how to put it on so well in regards to their transformation, to the point where they deceive certain dudes. That's why it's important not to get so mesmerized by the ass, because you could get caught up without, looking at the face and seeing a beautiful woman's face and being okay with that, because that could be the offset for lack of ass that she may have. I remember when I was watching the movie All Things Fall Apart with 50 Cent, the movie where he gets cancer and he loses all the weight and whatnot. And in the scene with his brother was trying to talk to one of the girls that work in the library or whatever. They was in the library or something like that, bookstore. And the girl was so beautiful, but she ain't really have a booty like that, but it was well proportioned to her body, to the point where it didn't really matter. She just was a beautiful woman. You got a lot of these females out here who got these BBLs because they live comparatively. I don't care what nobody say. Females, they think like children. They do. They live comparatively. They think like children. Not to say that they are children, but they think just like a child. You know how a child sees something and they want, what that person has. They see something that's on somebody and they want what that person has. It's the same thing like females. They want a fat ass because they see another chick with a fat ass. They want a fat ass or a new fat ass because they see another chick with a BBL or a new fat ass. Females think comparatively. I'm not saying that guys don't too, but that's more something that's intrinsic within the female. They live comparatively. So this is why you have the advent of all this BBL and all this stuff. But you don't really see that with the black woman, which is a good thing. You really see that with the Hispanic woman, especially out here where I live at, where all these BBLs. It's funny also, Drake knows how to really like shed light on certain things, especially when it comes to trends and what's popping. Like on the For All the Dogs album, just speaking to the cohesion of the album, he has the track list, and when he gets into the song about the BBL, called BBL Love, that's like a little interlude that segues into the next song called Gently. And Gently features Bad Bunny and just got that whole Hispanic vibe to it. That's him letting you know that that's catered towards the Hispanics. That's him letting you know that he knows that that's something that's more intrinsic or more popular in the Hispanic community in regards to BBLs with, this Hispanic woman. And it's funny because it looks even more stupid. It's not attractive to me at all. Like when I see a BB, I'm not attractive. I'm not attracted to that because it don't look authentic. That's how simple-minded some of these chicks are. They think that just because they got a something extra on they backside, that it looks good. It looks weird as hell. It looks like it's some fake shit on you. Like you look better when it's natural, when it's smaller. You know what I mean? So a lot of chicks, they just don't understand what they be doing. They are like the most unaware demographic. Women, no disrespect to women at all, but women, not saying that they fully unaware, but they're like the most unaware of themselves in regards to how they present themselves. But let's continue on.
I'm a face nigga. I would date a skinny girl with no.
That's me too. Bro.
Yeah, nigga. Listen, nigga.
Nothing wrong with ass, but
I would date Olive Oil. Popeye and Bluto were fighting like a motherfucker over Olive Oil. Nigga, she was a stick woman. Slim and a motherfucker. No ass, no titties, but she was pretty. So, nigga, I'm a pretty face kind of nigga. Because, nigga, I don't wake up looking at ass. Nigga, I don't missionary fuck the ass. I'm looking at that face. I like to see facial expression when I wake up. So, no, nigga, I'm a face nigga. So, I bypass a slim body with no ass and no titties for a pretty face.
Yeah, man, like the woman's beauty is what moves the man. The woman's beauty is what moves the man. It just does something to us. That affection, that softness that comes with the woman, it just does something to us. So I definitely understand his sentiment in regards to waking up to a beautiful face as opposed to just ass. You could see a chick ugly as hell with the fattest, craziest ass. Yeah, that's something to fuck on, but you don't want to walk down the street with that necessarily. And even with that, I ain't gonna really say walk down the street with that because, at the end of the day, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But still, you'll have other dudes looking at your chick. And at the same time, you still gotta be secure, but you don't really want that type of attention. You know what I mean? But it's still a double-edged sword because you can have a beautiful chick, beautiful face, and dudes will still look. So it's still one of those things where it's not, that shouldn't even be like really a factor. But still, man, like, you would want a beautiful woman over a unattractive chick any week of the day, any day of the week, even if she got a fat ass.
I have admittedly woke up and asked though, like, you know what I mean?
So that's why you see the black woman online now. She don't take straightforward pictures.
At all. You go on these dating apps, all these females are programmed to take pictures to the side or to the behind where they look and they got their face turned around, but their ass is out. Like, females are children, man. They chill. They so carnal, bro. They are so carnal. And there's no disrespect. I'm not being disrespectful or anything like that. It's just me emphasizing the difference between the genders because people love to perpetuate this equality bullshit. No, man. We are different people and it's okay. With women, they think more on a childlike level. They just do. They really do. They think based off of, the simplistic aspect, the two-dimensional aspect, the materialistic aspect, the tangible aspect. That's what they're about. They're more sexualized than men. I don't care what nobody say. They walk around wearing what they wear, and that represents lust. It just does. That's why women, they're supposed to cover themselves up as per the scriptures. Because when you wear form-fitting clothes, it's easy for lust to be drawn. But the confusion comes in when the woman wants to resist a man that's just being a man because he sees, thick thighs and a fat ass. That's the confusion because the woman wants to maintain that power base to say, get out of here. Let me wear what I want to wear. Let me show this off the way I want to show it off, even though I'm only showing it off for attention. That's how the woman operates. They like children, bro. They really are. And I love women. They beautiful, intelligent, but at the same time, they have childlike qualities. They just do.
It's everything because she think every man is enticed by her ass.
And black women are beautiful, and
they are.
They became.
But if you start talking to them, they ugly.
Of course, bad attitudes. Not all of them, but the majority of them, and especially due to ratchet culture, where you got these celebrities like these female rappers like Glorilla and Lotto and Sexy Red. Ratchet culture is heavy nowadays. Like, the woman that's modest and to herself, she's not the one that's favored in this society. She's favored by people like me, but she's not favored in this society. It's all about ratchet culture. It's all about, what Sexy Red said to the dude that had his face in her ass, where she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry if my booty stank." That's the ratchet shit. That's what we living through. That's what's popping nowadays. And they use these rappers like a Sexy Red and whatnot to push that, to make that more palatable. You know what I mean? So this is what we going through. The woman is at the top in this society, and every aspect of the low levels is what's prominent. No disrespect, not trying to say that the woman just is on a low level, but for the most part, that's what she emits. She emits that low level aspect of herself. She doesn't really emit the quality aspects unless she's taught and she's raised in a certain way. And sometimes she don't necessarily have to be taught and raised. Sometimes it's just the Most High, but at the end of the day, the majority of these females, they trash, man. They trash, and not trash to the point where you don't want to do anything with them, but they trash in terms of the content that they bring, what they bring to you. Because for the most part, all they have to offer is they pussy. Not all of them, but I'm just saying for the most part, just in the grand scheme of things.
If you can find the most beautiful black girl, but when you talk to her, man, this bitch ugly in a motherfucker. She got some stinking thinking. This bitch fucked up in the way she think. And she have some unrealistic expectation of what a man is and what a man does with a woman. You know why? She ain't never seen a man just like we ain't. Her mama didn't have no man. Her grandmama didn't have no man. She been watching her mama in and out of failed relationship. Who showed her what a man is? How she so confident and accurate in her assessment in what a man does?
And you know what? That's some funny shit there, because it kind of reminds me of what one of my subscribers sent me in regards to a person who wrote out some letter or some post about how immature his mom is. You know, it just speaks to that. It just reminded me of that. Like, you don't really hear stories or, you know, young children complaining, if you will, about like their parents in a way where they label them as immature in terms of the father. You only hear that really with the mother. So I'm just, you know, once again, just trying to emphasize the difference between the genders in terms of what the roles are, and, you know, what's adjacent to the genders when it comes to the conduct, when it comes to how we think, certain aspects of our nature, so on and so forth. The woman is always going to be on the level of, or just below, the man, just when it comes to conduct, just when it comes to maturity, so on and so forth. In certain aspects, it's not that way. You have some women out here that's more mature than dudes. But in terms of how it's supposed to be, when it comes to the order of it, the woman is on a lower level than the man, just when it comes to conduct and, you know, the cerebral aspect, the thinking aspect, the understanding of maturity, so on and so forth, the rationale. You know what I mean? That's just always going to be like that, because the Most High deemed her the weaker vessel. The Most High created her to be a helpmeet to the man. That's just what it is. But in this world, which is governed by Satan, everything is turned upside down. So that's why you have all this strife. That's why you have this whole equality doctrine being, you know, muddied up, because at the end of the day, reality is always going to win. Nature is always going to win, no matter how much they try to push all these different agendas.
Bitch just talking, ho. Shut up. Don't know a motherfucking thing.
What about the beautiful black queens that do?
They married. They taken.
Okay.
Yeah. Snatch.
And the other ones is so caught up into either they careers, their success, or their purpose. The beautiful black women, where they ain't
Not entertaining that shit.
they not venomous.
I feel like those are the ones that people say they're angry because they won't give that man the time of day.
Yeah, them the ones are being called bitches. And they ain't bitches, they women. The niggas that
For the most part, there's no female on this earth that's a real woman when it comes to the real definition of the word, unless she's raised up in a certain sort of culture. A lot of people don't really understand definitions of words when it comes to, you know, the real skinny. Like, a woman is supposed to be covered up. These females, they walk around here in this Babylonian society dressing all scantily clad, dressing to the point where they want attention from a man, dressing to draw lust. These women, they're not real women, just in terms of the real definition of the word. They just females. And some of them borderline on it, but for the most part, they're just females in this society. And it's not their fault. It's all about them being mistaught, because they're proverbial Eve. The woman is used as the woman is used. That's, you know, just plain and simple. She's used. The man is not a object of use for the most part. It's the woman. That's why the serpent came to Eve. And it's the same thing that's going on in these days. That's why the man is the one that's, like, you know, in a state of despair and wonder and trying to understand why things are going on the way it's going on, because he's not the one that's being used to the degree that the woman is. Everybody's being used, but the woman is being used just like the serpent used her in the Garden of Eden. It's the same thing. And that's why they work through the woman, because they know that the woman's psyche, in terms of her being easily beguiled, is stronger than the man. So that's why they use the woman. That's why they put the battery in the back of these women. Just in terms of different agendas they want to push in regards to equality, feminism, the ratchet culture that's being pushed in the music, so on and so forth. The woman is the one that's strongly up for use, just for lack of a better way of putting that. If you guys are following me, it's pretty much the understanding of going back to the Garden of Eden where the serpent beguiled Eve. It's the same thing that's going on these days.
The women that niggas is calling hoes ain't real hoes. Because hoes is loving and kind and sweet at all times. Hoes are really angels.
That's talking. He's pretty much talking about a concubine. That's pretty much what he's getting at. And if he's going into like a hoe in terms of her being easily open to dicks, jumping from dick to dick to dick to dick to dick, then that's pretty much borderline harlotry. But a concubine is the one that's fun loving, one that you could just have on the side, and this is somebody that enjoys your company and vice versa, so on and so forth. And there's many concubines out here. It's okay. But I really wanted to go into this post because, just in context of the video, it has a lot to do with the topic. So let's just get into it. All right, so this right here, I believe, is a Reddit post from someone named True Off My Chest. Significant cut 4388. I'm embarrassed of my mom. It's really shameful that you have a child, pretty much writing this post pertaining to their mother and how embarrassed they are. It just shows you that dynamic, man. Especially when it comes to, certain aspects, certain low-level aspects of our community, in the inner city, where you have a parent, for the most part, a single parent who is the mother, because we are pretty much under, the authority of the matriarchy. We are under that type of authority in this society. As far as black people, there's no other race of people that has a matriarchy hovering over them in regards to authority. We the only nation. That's how we at the bottom, because women are the ones that are the authoritators in our community. It's not supposed to be like that. And once again, there's no disrespect towards the woman. It's just the understanding of reality and how things are supposed to be as opposed to how things are. So I'm embarrassed of my mom. She had me when she was only 16. I believe he was supposed to put the me after the had. He just forgot. I'm 16 now and she's 32. She's never worked a day in her life. She receives welfare from the government. And I'm sure many of you brothers can identify with this. Not personally, but just in terms of the understanding when it comes to our community in regards to the whole welfare advent, where for the most part it's always the single mother that's solely dependent on the government and welfare and food stamps and whatnot. So not to say that you don't have fathers that are dependent on it as well, but for the most part it's what you see with the mother, because the mother is more willing to capitulate and get down with the program. She just is. A man is going to figure certain things out in an autonomous way, where it's like, I'm too prideful to depend on that. And pride, in that sense, is not, it's not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, you don't want to depend on the power structure too much. You don't want to overly depend on the government too much, because you lose sight of what it means to, get money on your own, or what it means to value money. The value of money is based in working. So if you're dependent on the government, then you lose sight of the importance of working for a dollar. You lose sight of the importance of earning your keep when it comes to money or assets and whatnot. So very, very important to not be overly dependent on any sort of power structure or government. Right? So she receives welfare from the government, or should I say taxpayers. I've never met my father, but every time I've asked her about him, she says he was a high school boyfriend. But comments from family members over the years tell me she's lying and they weren't even in a relationship. Yeah, probably just fucked them and had a baby. Because most of these chicks, man, they have no respect for themselves. They jump from dick to dick to dick, not understanding, the disdain that they have on them. When it comes to women who do that, they think that that's empowerment. No, you a hoe. You have no respect for yourself. But comments from family members over the years tell me she's lying. They weren't even in a relationship. It was just some guy she used to sleep with. She embarrasses me constantly. She's 32 and still acts like a teenager. The woman is not an adult until she's about like 50, 60 years old, bro. And even then, it's like, yo. And the reason why I say this is because, I remember watching some of the Brother Chronicles of Judah videos, and he would always touch on this, always emphasize how women are immature. They like little children, and they don't stop, or they don't start to mature until they about 45 years old. And that's apropos, bro. That is apropos. Trust me. Trust me. What I deal with every day and who I'm around every day, trust me, it's the truth. The female is an immature entity, and she's even more immature in this society because she's given leeway. She got a battery in her back. They able to do whatever they want to do for the most part. Just is what it is. They're able to do whatever they want to do for the most part. That's why this world is under the spirit of a woman. This world is under the spirit of, harlotry and irrationale and illogicality, for lack of a better word. Like, everything is under that spirit, man. We don't live in a society that's based in rationale and logic and principles and morals. It's all things that's of the woman. And it's not to say that women don't have morals or don't have principles or anything like that, but for the most part, more of the left is what's prominent in women than it is righteousness. It just is what it is. It's just the truth. Their natural polarity is the left hand. It just is what it is. That's why it tells you in the scriptures, there's no wickedness like the wickedness of the woman. There's no wickedness equal to the wickedness of a woman. That's in the Bible. That's not me saying that. Right? So it was just some guy she used to sleep with. She embarrasses me constantly. She's 32 and still acts like a teenager. On social media, she calls herself an independent woman. Yeah, that's the line, man. That's the line, man. That's the common line amongst most of these females. I'm independent, this and that, all that nonsense. That's how you know that they just used. They all have this uniform common understanding just based off of them being used. They all have this uniform common code of feminism and irrationale and look at me, look at my ass, look at my titties, look at my BBL, look at my makeup. Women, they really live in existence in semi-delusion. I'm not going to say full delusion, but semi-delusion. And really, they really live not 100% themselves. It's like they wear makeup. They have this thing where they can't, go on without their makeup for the most part. You have some women who are able to not care about stuff like that. Not necessarily like look at that as something that makes them. But some of these females, they actually look at their makeup as what makes them. Like, this is me. If I don't have my makeup, I can't go outside type shit. Like, these females, they live so superficially. They live so tangibly. They live so based off of, what's on the exterior as opposed to understanding, what makes you from the outside or from the inside out, excuse me. Like, they don't really have an understanding of self-validation or self-identification. You know what I mean? It's more about validating themselves based off of outside stimuli as opposed to validating themselves from within, She's 32 and still acts like a teenager. On social media, she calls herself an independent woman and wears really trashy looking outfits. It's so embarrassing. Like, how can she call herself that when she literally relies on government assistance and can barely afford to feed me sometimes? Even the way she dresses is embarrassing. And it's crazy because, just like I said, women are so unaware. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, they don't understand how they present themselves because they live in their own little bubble of reality. They just do. They do. And it's not to say that they like 100% blind, but for the most part, their justifications for what they do is based off of what they see in their own reality. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one time I had a conversation with a chick about the word narcissism, and this woman literally told me that you can make up any definition for a word. Like, that's their logic. That's their logic, bro. So it's like, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, you know what? Let me just chill. Let me not even continue on in this conversation. Just because for somebody to say something like that clearly tells me that I shouldn't continue having a conversation with them. Like, what type of logic is that? You can make up any definition for a word? Because I was trying to tell her that narcissism does not mean that, like, you're a killer or anything like that. She was trying to say that, oh yeah, you know, he's a murderer. That's not what a narcissist is. And I was trying to break it down, and she's like, "Well, there could be any definition for a word." It's like, okay, that was her logic, and it just speaks to the playing field that they on when it comes to how they think. Not all of them. You have a lot of bright, intelligent women, and I can attest to this because, you know, I just had a conversation with one about a few hours ago. So, it was my previous, well, my ex, I would say, my ex. I had a conversation with her. She was just, put me on about certain health tips and whatnot. She's abstaining from meats, and that inspired me to abstain from meats for a while just to see, the result. So this is not a female bashing video. Like, I love women. You have a lot of intelligent women out here, just like just like I just laid out there in terms of the woman helping me understand, abstaining from meat could be really, really beneficial for me and my health. And that's something that I'm working on. And I'm just glad that she sparked that for me. So once again, this ain't no woman bashing video. This is just talking about a certain or a specific type. And for the most part, that's the majority. These ratchet women, that's the majority. It just is what it is. Right, so she's 32 and still acts like a teenager on social media. She calls herself an independent woman. I know I keep going up, but it's good because we want to keep emphasizing these things and reiterating these things just in terms of what we're reading. And wears really trashy looking outfits. It's so embarrassing. Like, how can she call herself that when she literally relies on government assistance and can barely afford to feed me sometimes? Even the way she dresses is embarrassing. She wears really revealing outfits that just look nasty. Yep, that's what you see on these females. That's exactly what you see, especially in the summertime, where these chicks walk around with their ass cheeks out thinking that, like, you're not sexy. You just look like a full-on harlot. You look a full-on hoe. I look at that shit and I'm just like, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, of course you a guy. You're like, oh yeah, she got a fat ass. But then at the same time, you're like, this person has no respect for herself. It's like, I can't wife this. This can't be my lady. And that's the trouble. That's the conundrum when you on this side in regards to the knowledge and the understanding that we know. It's hard to deal with the modern woman. It's hard to be in a relationship. It really is. It's so hard to be in a relationship, especially if you a guy that thinks like me or think along the same lines as me in regards to the understanding of the scriptures and, the uniform knowledge that we have as brothers. I'm sure you brothers understand what I'm talking about. Where you get to know these females, beautiful women, and you talk to them and you understand that their views is different from your views, and it's hard to really like mesh in that way. Even though they try to put on this front that they can still do it, they can still fuck with you, even though they know deep down inside they can't. Like, it was a few times where I've come across certain females, oh, I like you, you so, smart, you intelligent, this and that, whatever. And then I never hear back from them because that's the front that they initially put on, because they can't handle a dude that has the knowledge base, that has a strong mind, that's stern, and it's one of those things where it just shows you what type of playing field you on, because those women, they're easily receptive to a simple-minded dude, a dude that don't know shit, a dude that's just a leaf in the wind out here. That's what they like, Now, where are we? She wears really revealing outfits that just look nasty. Like, I remember her picking me up from school one day. She was wearing shorts where you could almost see her butt, smoking a cigarette, and other kids were like, imagine that white trash being your mom. Oh, so it's a white person. That's crazy. And everyone started laughing. I almost cried. I mean, that's my mom. It hurt that they said that, but were they wrong? She goes out drinking every weekend and has been doing that for as long as I can remember. She's always been dropping me to my nana's house so she can go party, and she's always bringing random dudes. Yeah, that's crazy because this is what you see. She bring random dudes home and she calls her friend. Different dudes calling her a friend. And growing up, I'm sure most of you brothers can attest to this, man. I'm sure most of y'all can attest to this. And not even personally, I'm just talking about just knowing these things. Like, these are the dynamics. Like, you probably have a childhood friend that had this type of situation, Where are we? It hurt that they said that, but were they wrong? She goes out drinking every weekend and has been doing that for as long as I can remember. She's always been dropping me to my nana's house so she can go party, and she's always bringing random dudes home. She calls her friend. I'm not stupid. It's pretty obvious she's sleeping with them. I find it gross that she's sleeping with different men all the time. And this young kid has great perceptive abilities. He can discern and see, and that's something that's intrinsic within the boy. The young boy has great perceptive abilities, being able to discern and see, okay, this is what's going on. Even though he can't like necessarily fully put it together, but he has an idea. And for the most part, it's true. Just when it comes to the conclusions that he's coming to, pretty obvious she's sleeping with them. I find it gross that she's sleeping with different men all the time. Call me old school or whatever. I don't care. I just wish I had a normal mom that was mature and acted her age. This is crazy. Just the fact that a child is saying this about their mom just lets you know the low level that these women are on, man. These women, they are on a low level, a low base. They just are. Why couldn't she have had me to... Wait, where were we? I just wish I had a normal mom that was mature and acted her age. Why couldn't she have had me to a man she was actually in a relationship with? That's why it's important for us to think about the child, even before we get into conception. We always want to think about the potential for the child, like, or the prognosis for the child. Like, how are we going to raise a child? Do we love each other enough to respect our union? And when we have a child, are we still going to love each other enough to respect our union to the point where, we're setting a good example for our child in regards to what he sees and what he looks at as a good relationship? Or am I just going to fuck this dude, or vice versa, and that's that? And then when I have a baby, it's just me, whether it be a man or a female. You know what I mean? Like, we have to think about the child. We have to understand that, bringing the life into this world, we got to consider things that may shape him, or, how he may look at things based off of certain dynamics and what he purports them to be, just based off of, that natural ability of perceiving things in a way where you look at this as traditional, like this is what it's supposed to be. In other words, what I'm saying is like the son or the daughter is supposed to see what a two-parent household is about. It's supposed to see what a two-parent household looks like. Right now, like, my mental is not as up there as it's supposed to be, because I'm working on something right now, and it's really affecting my my hunger. So excuse me if I'm not like all the way there 100%. Like, I'm a little sluggish right now just because of this process. But it's important for us to understand optics and how things are supposed to be for the child, just in terms of when they're young, and what they would want for themselves in the future. So you should always think about like what the dynamic is between you and that person that you want to have a child with, because you want to represent yourself in a certain way, in that union a certain way, so the child can have something to look forward to growing up. Like, okay, my mom and my dad, they were together, they loved each other, so on and so forth. But it has to be authentic, You can't just force it. Imagine that white trash. No, where were we? I'm reading too up. Call me old school or whatever. I don't care. I just wish I had a normal mom that was mature and acted her age. Why couldn't she have had me to a man she was actually in a relationship with? Why couldn't I have been born into a normal family? Why can't she grow the fuck up? I'm so jealous of everyone that complained about having strict parents. I wish I had parents like that actually cared and weren't so selfish and childish. It's crazy, but this is apropos, and this is something that is prominent in our community, even though I'm of the belief that this came from a white kid because it said the white mother, but at the same time, this is something that we identify with. And, you have certain sects of inner city communities where the whites is just, they blend in with blacks. They go through the same things. I remember when I went to Delaware one time when we was young, when I was like a child, and we was around these white people that was just as black as us. They just was Caucasian, but they had that same type of experience in terms of living in the ghetto and whatnot. So it's just one of those things that a lot of brothers can attest to, not even personally, but just understanding that these things is prominent.